Work's over. And now it's time to go off the clock. Your favorite destination for the hottest sports topics, fantasy insight, betting lines, and game predictions. Sit back, kick off your shoes. You can even crack a cold one. And enjoy the show. Now, here are your hosts, Tyler, Jake, and Rob.
Yo, what's up, Rob?
What's going on? What's going
How's
on,
it
Tyler?
going? Off the clock, subscribers, nation, whatever you want to call each other. We need a good name for that, but
I think Jake
episode
should come up with
5.
that.
Episode 5.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what's
Jake
going
should
on?
come up with this since he's not joining us tonight, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing. I mean, obviously, to our viewers, you're seeing here that we're missing somebody. You know, Jake came up with, I like to call it the Kermit the Frog syndrome. His voice is now shot. It does sound like Kermit, so he says he
He'll be
sends his
sitting out.
condolences.
He was questionable
But-
for this show. He just got ruled out before game time. He tried to give it
Yeah.
a go, ladies and gentlemen, but playing it safe. But yeah, like Rob said,
He'll be
he should
ready
be
for
back
Sunday.
for Sunday.
Yeah, he'll be ready for Sunday's game. So
But
we're good.
dude, what's up? How you doing this week?
Yeah, man. Like, I mean, I was crazy time for like sports. You know, hockey starting, basketball's about to start up, baseball.
Are you a big
postseason
hockey
baseball.
guy?
You know, I'm a big going to the game hockey guy
Yep.
than like watching it on TV.
Who's your
That's just
team?
one of the. I'm Ian. I was born in Chicago, so I'm always a Blackhawks fan.
Okay.
So it just, I don't know. It's just hockey's one of those sports where I just like I need to go to see it. It's kind of like basketball with me. I'll watch a game or two, but it's like it's so much better in person.
Man,
So
I would probably be a Dallas Stars season ticket holder if I lived in Dallas.
mhm.
Little fun fact, I actually started at about 4 years old to play hockey, or I guess I was 4 or 5 years old when the Dallas Stars won the 99 Stanley Cup.
Mhm.
And whole city of Dallas, that's where I was living with my mom at the time. Whole city of Dallas was going nuts. I got into hockey immediately. Mike Badano,
Mhm.
you know, so got into hockey. I wanted to play, and to be able to play, you had to take skating lessons for a few years
It's
before
kind
you
of
could
hard to do that in
actually.
Dallas, though.
Yeah, there's not too many rinks around town. Well, luckily there was one though, about 10 minutes down the road from where we were staying in the apartment, and
Mhm.
started taking lessons. And like I said, I think it was estimated like 4 years. I think kids started playing actual hockey around age like 9 or 10 after 4 years of
Mhm.
actual skating lessons. And I completed the first 2 years in a year, and I was actually a very, very strong skater at that age. Definitely wouldn't be now, but at the time I was a strong skater. Then we moved away, and the rink was about an hour from our new place,
Mhm.
and my parents just didn't have the time to drive out there a couple times each
Yeah.
week. So
I actually myself was playing hockey when I was a kid too, and when in Arizona, actually one of my teeth, like right next to this one right here, is actually a
Dipped it.
fake tooth. I took a hockey stick to the mouth and was spitting up teeth for like a few days,
oh man,
and
that's
so
that's a classic hockey injury to the mouth.
yeah, hockey stick to the mouth. So yeah, I mean, again, it's just I don't know. I love hockey. I love all sports technically, but it's just hockey's just one of those is so much better in person than it is
Yeah,
like
just that
watching
atmosphere,
TV.
man. That
Yeah, it's an
atmosphere
atmosphere kind of thing.
it's like a big party, no matter who you are when you go to a hockey game. Everybody
Yeah.
wants to see a fight. Everybody wants to see goals. You
Oh
know,
yeah, of course. You can't
know,
go
it's
to a hockey
almost
game
like-
without seeing 0-0 hockey games like the worst one.
I
unless
don't
you
want to
see a fight or two.
say and compare it to NASCAR because racing is a completely different sport, but NASCAR fans and hockey fans have a lot of similarities in terms of they love to drink beer and they love to get wild. But I
Yeah.
much prefer watching hockey over NASCAR.
Oh yeah, left turns
that's
just
just me.
nonstop. Just it's so boring.
Matter of
So,
fact, I probably can't see it, but I got a little scar on my chin from the very first day of lessons. Brought us out there at 4 or 5 years old, and all right, hold on to the rail when you're skating. Get your feet under you. Well, I was doing so good, the instructor was like, "All right, Tyler, like I think you can do it." So I push off the rail, try to go on my own, take a couple strides, boom, face plant, chin to ice, go get stitches.
Shoosh. There
My
you go.
mom did
Well,
not want me to keep skating, but I told her I wanted to, and I kind of explained the rest of
yeah,
the story. But
I mean, those stories are always the best ones, especially about sports. I mean, I think me and you could go back and forth with sports injuries all day. Like, I have a few ankle problems. Like, I have some stories about.
yep,
Um,
just think about the
but
guys that are still doing it now.
I have nothing but respect to those dudes
Yep.
because, like me, I'm like crying like a little baby when I twist my ankle. I'm like,
Yep.
I don't want to do this anymore.
But
so, but
yeah,
yeah. So
let's kind of start this show off this week. I know since Jake's not here and he's not gonna mind, I want to talk some baseball with you. But before we get to that, I want to hear what you thought maybe was like the biggest surprise, biggest takeaway. Give me one thing from this past weekend of football games that you want to share.
Uh, I mean, there was so much. I mean, I could talk about my Packers blowing it against the Giants in London. I could talk about, the Pittsburgh Steelers issue. I could talk about so many things. But honestly, from this past weekend, I would like to bring up the Carolina Panthers is absolutely tanking now. There's a
That
new
rule's
report that
gone.
was Matt Rule's gone. There's a new report that they're shopping CMC. It
They only
seems like
have
they're
8
just
draft picks for the next 2 drafts
five.
combined.
They
It's
have
5?
five this one. Yeah, it's five
5
because
in the
they
next
traded.
draft?
Yeah, because they traded
I
for
was
Sam
saying
Darnold.
eight total the next 2 drafts combined. So 5 and 3 then, I guess.
I mean, you gave up so much for Sam Darnold to be your backup, and then say gave up so much for Baker Mayfield. Like those two right there cost you draft capital, and then you kind of let Kurt Samuel walk for like nothing. You traded some other guys too. I mean, you traded for C.J. Henderson from Jacksonville, which I don't even know why you did that. Um, yeah, they just gave up. I think they just went into a huge spending spree, and they're realizing, oh shit.
They gave up a
Yeah,
lot of draft capital, that's for sure.
yeah,
And
and
they
so
actually
it's
have some pretty solid players on that roster outside that quarterback
yeah.
position. You
I-
like you mentioned CMC, you got Brian Burns on the edge, you got second
You
year
have
JC
you got
Horn.
DJ Moore. You got some guys. It's just shocking to me. Like you fire your head coach. You're about to fire your defensive coordinator. It's you're just ready to just blow it up like super fast, and you just spend so much draft capital over the last 2 years. I mean, I don't know. There was a report today I saw CMC might go to Buffalo. DJ Moore has been linked to both Green Bay and
Kansas City, I
oh,
saw.
Kansas City. I think it would be
It,
better fit for Green Bay than he would be for Kansas. But
so do you think
um,
that they're going to just blow this whole operation up there in Carolina?
I think that if you're even considering trading CMC, then you're blowing it up because he's the only good player in your teams. And so if you're trading your most valuable talent and he's gone, there's no reason to keep anyone else. You
So
might as well just get as much draft capital as you can.
with that being said, give me like, and I'll give one too, but give me a little scenario. I know you mentioned Buffalo's been linked to maybe asking about McCaffrey. Give me a little, I guess, just, I don't know, come up with a trade in the top of your head that you think would make sense for both parties here.
I mean,
And it
are
doesn't
you just
necessarily
talking
have to
about
be for
CMC?
McCaffrey. It can be for any of their players.
Anybody? So you try to think. I'm gonna lock it at two because they're not gonna get rid of their young, really core defensive talent. I don't think you should get rid of Horn on the cornerback. I
Horn
don't
won't
think
be
you get
gone,
rid
no
of
way.
he won't be gone. I just don't think honestly there's enough like people calling about them. But I'm going to. I'm gonna go DJ Moore and CMC. CMC, you're gonna get the most for him because he's your biggest talent. But the problem is though, people know you need to get stuff back. So you'll get a 1, a 2, and maybe a 4 and a 5. Maybe.
You think you'll get
Just
that much for a running back that's been injury prone? Even though when healthy,
when
CMC is
health
one of the
see
best, but
that's the risk reward. I mean, you could say the exact same thing. Why did, the Panthers trade for Sam Darnold? I mean, they saw the
I,
talent there, they spent the draft capital. So
I don't think there's
what's the
any
point?
way personally that that's what they could get back for CMC. That's just me, but maybe I'm
But
wrong.
you're at least getting a 1 and a 2 for CMC.
I don't think you get
You'll
a
at
one
least
for him. I really don't.
well, people think DJ Moore's going to get a 1. They'll get a 1 for him. So if we're going with that
DJ
logic,
Moore could get a one simply because he's at a position where they're at a little bit
So
more of a premium. Now, running
if
backs,
you
just the value of
if
running backs are so low now.
all right, so let's go with the prospect. If you say, let's say they get a 2, 3, and a 5. Okay, who needs a running back right now? Like badly needs a running back that's a contender. Buffalo is one because Devin Singletary is not an option there. That's a contender. I mean, Dallas could use a better running back than Zeke.
They're
Combine
not going to
Zeke
trade
and
for a running back, too. No way. They
I
have
mean
Zeke
Jerry
Pollard.
Jones though.
There's
Jerry
no,
Jones might be like,
if we want to talk DJ
um,
Moore to Dallas, that's a lot more realistic. But there's another
the
player
Rams.
on the
Good
Panthers that
dude.
I'm going to mention whenever I say my bit. But sorry,
The Rams. I think.
I was
I
going to
mean,
say the
honestly,
Rams.
the Rams. I could see him the most logical spot because their running game is all over the place and they love throwing the ball so much.
They don't have a
So
whole
I
lot
could
to
see
give up,
CMC.
though. They've already
I
traded
know.
those picks, you know.
I could see them working something out. But the logical, if we're talking about contenders, the logical place is going to be
What about the
Denver.
Philadelphia Eagles?
No,
You
I don't
upgrade for
think so.
Miles Sanders.
No, I don't think so. I don't. It's just not them. I think it's Denver.
I don't think
I think that's the most.
I know that guy's
Denver.
ACL's gone,
Denver
but
has.
he's in his
I
second
mean,
year. He'll be back next year.
weigh this. Okay, even if he's back next year, weigh this. All right. Would you rather have Melvin Gordon and Mike Boone or CMC and Melvin Gordon this year when you're trying to contend, when your offense is not clicking and Russell Wilson has a shoulder injury that's going to be 4-week recovery? I think Denver is the logical spot. I think Buffalo really isn't because Buffalo needs defense, and right now their defense is atrocious. Don't let that Pittsburgh game fool you. Their defense is bad now because of the injuries. Um, I think Denver's the most logical place for him. I don't think if you look at all the contenders that they're going to do. John Elway is always known to be the go gunner and the guy that's going to get the talent in and doesn't care how much he's going to spend. That's why they got Russ. I think their need is running back. I think they have the wide receivers, they have the tight end, they have the defense, obviously. Running back is the biggest need, and they need help for Russell Wilson. And Russell can't throw the ball down the field, so he needs a place to dump the ball off. So I think Denver's going to be the spot. DJ Moore, I think, is most logical position to go to is Green Bay. I don't think Green Bay will go get him because I think they're going to say OBJ.
What about
But
Baltimore? I could say Baltimore for both of those players.
Yeah, I just don't see the ball. It's not really
Think about a
Baltimore's-
backfield with Lamar Jackson, McCaffrey.
It's not really.
I know
Baltimore.
Dobbins is coming back.
I'm looking at like the culture, and the culture of Baltimore is never. I'm going to trade for people. I'm always going to draft and go get a free agent. And that's the exact same thing with Green Bay. They're going to draft and go get. I mean, the biggest name Green Bay has gotten trade wise was. I can't even.
Julius
think the last
Peppers.
person. I think
Did they trade for him?
No, they
I know this
signed
was a
him
few
a
years
free
back.
agent.
I mean,
I can't
Green Bay,
remember
the
the last two.
Cowboys, Baltimore, all those teams fall in that kind of, I guess, situation. Now, the Cowboys, you can go back a little bit further. They have traded for some big names in the past, but in the past decade, they really haven't.
So my pick for CMC is Denver, and I think DJ Moore. I want him to go to Green Bay, but he's probably going to go to the Rams. So, what do you think? What do you think? What I said?
You know, I think CMC to Denver could make sense for this year, but Javonte Williams is their future in the backfield. And if you bring in McCaffrey, I'm not sure of his contract and what his number is. You're going to want to offload him again. I just don't know if they'll be able to get what they give up for him again. Somebody else, this is kind of like a sneaky little team that...
Just to reiterate CMC's contract, he's still on his rookie deal. And right now, this year, he's making...
He's not on his rookie deal. They re-signed him.
No, his new re-sign, it comes in next year, and he's only going for $11.8 million for 3 years.
What about... just the more that I've been thinking about this. Now, I like DJ Moore to Green Bay. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think you could make an argument for Dallas if they really want to go all in. I just don't see them doing that.
I just don't see why
I can see DJ Moore to Baltimore, but like you said, that's out of their DNA to go and trade for a guy in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
But I think, you mentioned Buffalo. I think they could go for DJ Moore too, as well as McCaffrey. I mean, same with Kansas City, I think. Maybe take off CMC from that list when you got Allaire. But CMC is an upgrade over 95% of the rest of the backs in the league. But here's a team that I just don't think that they have the draft capital, or they want to give up the draft capital, because they did 2 years ago to get a quarterback who unfortunately broke his ankle. But what about the San Francisco 49ers? What about a team with arguably a top 3
for
defense?
CMC or for
to go after CMC?
What would that trade look like to you? I'm just curious.
I think a trade for CMC, like I said, I don't believe you trade a 1 for a running back. I just don't think any team will do that. But I'm thinking like a 2 and a 4 for CMC. Or maybe 2 and a player. But I don't know who that player would be. No team wants to trade young, cheap talent for an injury-prone running back. But
would you dump? I mean, not dump. I'm not trying to use that as a reference. But you dump Elijah Mitchell and a 2?
No, because Elijah Mitchell's only in the second year. He's super, super cheap for them. There's no way they trade that guy, and he's a good running back. Now, when he comes back healthy off this knee sprain, and you have a 1-2 punch of CMC and Elijah Mitchell, where Elijah Mitchell's you're more between the tackle, traditional type guy, but then you bring in CMC, maybe you play them both at the same time. You can move CMC in the slot, double backs in the backfield. I think the 49ers they got to the NFC Championship game last year. They obviously were wanting Trey Lance to take that job over. That didn't happen. I think if you add a piece on offense to give them another just completely new, better dynamic, I think that could push them over the top, and they might be a front runner if they got a CMC. Because I think Buffalo, they're already in the driver's seat with Kansas City, which we'll get to see this week. But who the top dog is currently. But
I just don't. The problem is with people referencing Buffalo. I just think their need is more defense because of Micah Hyde being hurt and Paul Poyer is hurt. I think that's his last name too.
Yep.
And then they're hurt on defense. So I can see them more focusing on the defensive pieces. Of course, CMC to Buffalo with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. Of course, that would be fucking amazing. That would be holy crap. How are you going to beat this offense? But
here's another guy that I want to mention. It's on the opposite side of the ball for Carolina if we're talking about a blow-up. Are you familiar with Derek Brown?
Yeah.
The defensive tackle out of Auburn, wears number 5.
Yeah.
Makes him look a little bit smaller.
He's a beast.
Yeah. I think that guy might be the player who goes first. Because I believe he's coming up. He's going to need to be re-signed, and he's going to want a pretty big contract. If they can get some draft capital for a guy like that, on the defensive side of the ball, and another team can reassure their interior defensive line, I think that just makes the most sense. And I don't think he's going to be somebody that's going to take I think you could maybe trade a 3 or it's probably going to take a 3 for him, but
yeah, and the defensive side of things, I agree with that. I would also think Brian Burns will go as well with the Panthers. So he's an edge rusher.
Did you say Brian Burns?
Brian Burns.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, my headset cut out for a second.
No, that's fine. He's another guy I can see. I think that if all the rumors are true and they're just blowing it up, I think that you're going to start.
That would be the player that I think they could get the most
starts it off. Of. I think you're not going to get what you want for CMC, and I'm kind of just rethinking what I just said.
That's what I'm. Yeah, just.
I think you're probably like you just said. Back. I think DJ Moore will probably give you the most value out of all of them because he's so good. I think defensive players. It's just the problem is there's so many good defensive guys out there. It's hard to get a lot of value back. I'm trying to think what your
edge rusher is the second most valuable position in the league, and that's why I think Burns will give you the best value back. But that's just my opinion. I think him and Moore definitely are the top two. I think McCaffrey and
I think
Derek
if they
Brown are
keep
right behind those
CMC,
two.
I'd say if they keep CMC, they're definitely trading DJ Moore and Brian Burns. They're definitely doing that because if you're only sitting at 5 draft picks this year and you're like we need to get, I don't even think they have a 1 or a 2 this year, and so I'm trying to get as much 2s as I can, for draft capital. Yeah. So is that what your surprise of the week was, or do you want to segue to what
No,
your surprise was?
so I mean, I think the Panthers firing Matt Rule was a little bit of a surprise to me just due to his contract, but they've been bad for. I mean, they started off so hot last year, and then I know they
Yeah.
came into Dallas. They were favored in that game, which was crazy to me. After they're like 3-1 or something, or 3-0, and the Cowboys just put it to them and they went downhill from there.
Yeah.
My biggest surprise, though, or biggest takeaway from this week that I want to mention, it's not Devontae Adams pushing that guy. We can talk. I want to get Jake in here to talk about that, but what the hell is up with these roughing the passer calls, man?
Oh my God, they're getting irritating. I agree. I think it was Chris Jones that said it on Monday night. We need to make it reviewable because it's like the Tom Brady one was like the
I,
worst one. I swear to God. Like
I was
just sitting
watching,
there.
or sorry, listening to a interview with Mike McCarthy today up on the podium, and he agreed with Chris Jones' statement where anything that results in a 15-yard penalty should be reviewable because it's such a big play.
I just don't think everything. I think just particularly roughing the passer needs to be reviewable because like there's so much a defensive player could do while tackling the quarterback to
What
kind of
about like a
avoid roughing.
targeting hit? I think that should be
Like
reviewable too,
Yeah,
personally.
well, I think yeah. I mean, you don't really see as much targeting as much anymore because they put the rule into place. I mean, there's a rarity that you will see a targeting. But roughing the passers is getting overboard. I'm bringing up Tom Brady situation again. Like
Uh,
I feel like he told the ref like, "Hey, he's gonna rough me this one. Call it throw the flag." Like,
and Brady's sitting there. I mean, I respect Brady because he's won so much, but man, that guy, he's getting away with, flailing his leg like he's trying to kick the guy. He
yeah,
did that a couple times. And I mean, you see 2 plays that were huge. I mean, Kansas City still won the game, but Atlanta, it was like 3.5 minutes left. They sacked Tom Brady. They're about to get the ball back after like
yeah.
a pretty
And they were
pretty
gonna
good
drive
comeback.
the ball down the field again, and it was just like,
And that happens, and that's just, I mean, their coach,
it's
you saw
just
his reaction, didn't you? Arthur Smith's reaction
yeah.
on the sideline. I mean, I would have been throwing my headset. I would have gotten probably tossed from that game if I was the
That's
Atlanta
just
Falcons
so
head coach.
ridiculous. I was just like, I didn't even see like where the roughing the passer was. Was it him swinging Tom Brady to the ground? I mean, but how else does he want him to tackle
Yeah,
him? I
there's
mean,
just there's no
if
explanation,
Tom
no
goes
excuse.
left and I'm going right and I grab him, how else am I supposed to tackle? My weight is going to throw him to the floor. Like, of course that's going to happen. Am I not supposed to tackle him anymore?
And
Am I just going to let him run by? That doesn't make
I
sense.
obviously follow Michael Parsons on Twitter.
Yeah.
All bias aside, even if I wasn't a Cowboys fan, I think he would be in my like top 5 favorite players. But
Mm-hmm.
he posted
I
something
love
about
Michael
how
Parsons.
defensive players have no protection. He's
No,
getting
they don't.
cut. I mean, he should have had 5. He should have drawn 5 more holding calls in that game. You got the tackle just arm around him in a chokehold type position
Mm-hmm.
when he's trying to bend around the corner. There's just the officiating in
quarterback,
sports, and as fans, it's so easy for us to see replays and like, oh, that
of
sucked.
course,
It's such a tough job.
but they're
It's
not.
way
They're
harder than what
putting.
people think. But
It's a quarterback driven league, and honestly, the quarterback is what makes the most money, and it's not. I get it why they're protecting them so much, but you have to
and
let.
Tom
It's
Brady can't,
football. You
he can't take a shit without someone, protecting him type of
Yeah,
thing.
I feel like
It's Tom
I feel like
Brady.
him and I feel like there's a ref sitting at his house with Giselle, and every single time she yells at him, and the ref throws a flag.
Personal foul.
A personal foul.
15 minutes of free time.
Another
But
15 more years on his career. Like,
I want to mention one more thing before we move on about this, and it's something I've been advocating about, not like super like putting it out there on social media a whole lot, but to friends, to other sports fans that I talk to. I think professional sport referees should be held to a much higher standard than what they are. They should be able to get fined for making bad calls. They should be
Yeah.
able to get suspended and things like that. And I think they should have to answer questions in an interview room just like the players
Yeah.
and coaches do, because it's
Yeah.
such a pivotal, like, point
I
in
mean,
the
they
game.
could, yeah, they could cost the other
And,
team a win or a loss.
and
Like
another thing is,
it's
I think they should be subject to like go through some type of intensive qualifications each and every year, whether
yeah,
it's eye test, whether it's like an agility or stamina test, because if you're
yeah,
out of position you might not be able to make the correct call. And
yeah,
we have done better, I think, as at least in the NFL, but the review process has gotten a lot better over time. I'll give them that. But I think the room for error is just so small. You got guys out there that are, full-time lawyers or full-time financial advisors that are referees.
yeah.
A lot of them, it's not their full-time job. I think it should be a full-time job. There should be a union for them. They should have to be subject to discipline or suspension, just like players and coaches are.
Yeah.
Just because it means so much to each and every game.
Well, it's I think the argument's across the board with all sports, and I think it's drives. I think now football's now catching up with like that type of like nonsense because it's a big thing with the NBA and a big thing in baseball, with especially strikes and balls calls. I
Now,
think
talking about like a
like
robot ump is a totally different story, in my opinion. I don't,
no,
I
I'm
don't
just
like
talking
robot
about
umps,
just
but
like I think no, I don't. I like the human factor with the umpires. I think we could cover that another day though. Um, but I think you agree. I think the umpires need to hold themselves more accountable. I think the teams, the owners need to do it as well. The unions, they need to be considered more a full time job than anything. And I think if you make the type of progress, you will definitely see more improvement on calls, not calls, and just overall the game.
I
The
agree.
fairness in the game. So, but I want to get back on a little topic here. We always run our top five for this season because I want to get to football. So, I want to. Do you remember your top five left from last week?
My top five last week, I don't remember the exact order, but I know it was Buffalo, Kansas City, Green Bay, Miami, and Philly.
I would say this. You send us, me and Jake, a huge text message saying, I got a new top five. I can't wait to
I
display this. So
do.
I'm gonna let you go first because I know you're excited. So shoot away. And I think I already know who's gonna be on the top five. So go.
Here's my top five going into week 6 now in the
Six.
NFL.
Yeah, six. Yeah.
The Bills are in my number one spot. Bills
Yeah.
are my number one spot. They've been in there. I think I moved them out of number one last week or the week prior, but they've been in my top five the whole time. They're number
Yeah.
one right now. I think you look at Kansas City and you put them number two, at least in my opinion, as well. I mean, these two teams play this upcoming week, which I think is going to be,
Yeah.
hopefully
A big dictator.
if it's
Yeah.
anything close to the playoff matchup, it's going to be, an exciting game. But Miami, Green Bay, they're out of my top five.
Mm-hmm.
So coming in at number three, I wish Jake was here, but I got to give them their due. They are 5-0.
The Eagles.
The Eagles are number three right now. They're the only undefeated team in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to be in my top five. I put them at number three. I'm still not sold on Jalen Hurts. They're, I think, like first or second in the league in first half scoring,
Mm-hmm.
and they're 29th in second half scoring. Something's going on there. I think this upcoming week, playing Dallas on Sunday night, I'll give my pick on the live show, but
I mean,
this is going to be by far the best defense they've played. I think in terms of like defensive rankings, they haven't played against someone better than 15th, I think.
I would just like to segue in something as well. We're going to like your top five, and I think I know who you're going to round off your top five with. This Sunday is going to be such a great Sunday because you're going to have Chiefs Bills,
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia Dallas. It is pivotal matchups against four top teams in both divisions.
Yep.
So it's like Bills and Kansas are always the top two teams in the AFC, and then you got now Dallas and Philly fighting for the NFC East. Sorry,
Yep.
I always forget
You're
it's
good.
South or East. and then and also for top seed for the NFC. So it's gonna be such a great Sunday. But continue. Go ahead.
So I got Philly at number 3. My number 14 is the San Francisco 49ers.
So you're on board with me. I listened to the Niners at number 5 last week. So thank you.
They're number 4 this week for me. I think that defense is the real deal. And number 5.
Oh, here we go. I already know.
I'm not going to put who you think I am at number 5. Who I want to put at number 5 is obviously the Cowboys. They're going to be right outside at number 6, in my opinion, right now. Because there's one team that I think deserves to be ahead of them. And it's the Minnesota Vikings. The 4-1 Vikings. I think, as of this moment, I think the Vikings are a little bit more of a complete team just because of their offense. However, I think Cooper Rush, I think we scored 24 points is the most points that we've scored with Cooper Rush. Our offense, yes, we've ran the ball pretty well here and there, but our offense in Dallas is not elite, not even close. Everybody making this, Cooper Rush, is he going to start when Dak comes back? Hell no. He's not. There's no question about it.
I mean, that's just ridiculous talk right there.
But the Vikings are number 5 for me. I know Jake would probably be dogging on me because they have Kirk Cousins, but I think they have those offensive weapons. I think their core on offense can be matched up against anybody else in terms of Cook, Jefferson, and Thielen. I think that big 3. Now, Thielen has taken a step back, but I think that 3-headed monster,
I don't think it's Thielen's fault. Yeah, I agree.
I think you can compare those 3 to any other 3 in the league, and you have a pretty good argument. And especially with what Dalvin Cook's done the past 2 weeks. I think he's finally hitting his stride. But, man, you know what? I'll say 5A is the Vikings and 5B is the Cowboys. How about that?
Okay, that's fair.
What's
so
yours,
I'm gonna go from 5 to 1, and I'm gonna try to steamroll through this. Number 5, I got the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't have them on 2. I think that coming from behind at home against Vegas, I mean, you should have been up. You shouldn't have been beating. If you're a top 1 or 2 talent team, you should be dominating the whole game and not coming from behind. Yeah, I understand you had Josh Jacobs, they have Devontae, they have Hunter, they have Darren Waller didn't play the whole game.
Got hurt real early.
Yeah, got hurt. But I mean, you shouldn't be in that situation if you're a top 1 or 2 team. So they're at 5 for me. Number 4, this is where I'm running to an issue. Okay. And I mean, I want to put the Niners at number 4. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to put the Chargers at number 4. I think the Chargers are sneaking back up.
They should have lost that game, man.
They should have, but they won. And it doesn't matter.
Well, I can say the same thing about Kansas City then.
Well, they're still in my top 5. They're not outside, but they did win. But for me,
you think the Chargers are better than Kansas City? I mean, I think that's how you're ranking
Austin. When you put Austin Eckler, the way he's been playing the last few games, into the offense now with Keenan Allen about to come back, and that whole, they still have Jared Everett. They have Mike Williams playing like as Mike Williams, like fucking 5 years ago, Mike Williams, and freaking Justin Herbert just going to get more healthier. I think that is a key thing. Don't sleep on Khalil Mack on that defense, and that defense is still pretty damn strong. And again, don't sleep on Cleveland. Cleveland is still a good team. They just had Jacoby Brissett as their quarterback. When Sean comes back, I don't think it's going to be this year. I think next year you're going to see a huge difference of fucking Cleveland. They still got Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Amari Cooper, and David Njoku, right? Did I say that?
Yeah.
They still got good players. So it's not like Cleveland from 10 years ago when it's like the Detroit Lions, the laughing stock in the league.
I agree.
So I have the Chargers. Chargers is number 4. Number 3, I have the Niners. I agree with you 100%. I had them in my rankings last week. They just absolutely when Jimmy G became the quarterback of the Niners, they honestly took a step up.
Do you remember what I said that week?
Yeah.
My biggest winner of the week with the 49ers, unfortunately, due to Trey Lance's injury. I'm telling you, he runs that team better.
The offense works so much better with Jimmy G is running it than the defense. I mean, than Trey Lance. The defense is still fucking great. Kyle Shanahan is probably loving the fact they didn't trade fucking Jimmy G because, if they did, I don't
Yeah,
even
they're
know who
patting
their
themselves
backup
on the
was.
back for staying
So
strong.
number 3, it's the Niners. I think that if you want to talk about complete team, they're getting there. Domination of the Rams last week. I mean, 2 weeks ago, Carolina Panthers, they made it look easy. Number 2, I had to put the Eagles at number 2, undefeated. Scared me, a little bit. The last few weeks,
That game
they've
could have
come
went to
behind against
overtime.
the good game. Could have went to overtime last week. Well, it should have went to overtime. The kicker should have made it. It was a pretty easy shot. And then 2 weeks ago, Jacksonville had come from behind. So that's why they're still number 2. Number 1, I've always had them there. The Bills. You know that loss they had was because their defense was hurt. And you just when you're running on a bad defense with hurt injuries, it kind of costs you. But
Are
they
they going
made
to be able
quick
to
work.
sustain with the way that their defense,
I think that
is
you're
looking
going to
right
see
now?
them a little active in the trade market.
Yeah, you touched on that.
Like
Yeah.
we just talked. They have a pretty easy schedule coming out of the next 2 games: Kansas City and Green Bay. They got the Jets. Obviously, got to play Minnesota, who's in your top 5. They got Cleveland, Detroit, New England. It gets pretty. Their schedule gets pretty easier as you go down. So I still think they're still the top team. They beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in probably the first quarter. Like the
Yeah, that
game
game
wasn't
was
even
over.
close. That game was over in the first quarter, so they're still the number 1 team in my mind. So, all right, cool. And Jake will just
Yeah,
he'll
we'll
just
get
say whatever he
Jake's
wants.
updated Power 5 next week after week 6, which is totally fine. But Mr. Rob, I want to segue into something that, we're right in the thick of it. The division series are going on. Let me hear, because we made our little predictions last week. I know you picked the Phillies and you picked the Padres, right?
I picked the Phillies and the Padres. I picked the actually I had Seattle and the Padres in the World Series. And
Yep.
you all looked at me, and honestly, fucking Seattle should have won that game. I swear, if Seattle loses to Houston, it's not a player.
Did you watch much of that game, or were you just like keeping
I
tabs
watched the
on
whole
it?
game. I was
What a
watching the whole
crazy game.
If they lose that series, it's not a talent issue. It's a manager issue, because I don't understand why you put Robbie Ray, who is a starting pitcher, in a situation in a game 1 to close the game out. It makes no sense to me at all. Like I'm like sitting there. I'm like, why are you going to Robbie Ray? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like
Seattle lost that game and used a lot of arms too.
Yeah, no, I'm just like sitting there.
It's
I'm
just a
like,
double
why?
whammy.
I mean, Logan Gilbert, man. I said you got the text during the game. Seattle got somebody. Like he was making some of the Houston batters look silly with
that game yesterday. I think it wasn't a indication of Seattle being a bad team. I think the series can still go 5 games.
Oh yeah, easily.
But I think yesterday's game there in Houston, it was just a clear experience difference. That team's been there so many years now in a row. I think they just stayed the course, and you get your best power hitter up to bat in a situation to go win the game, and he gets a pitch like that, and people like him aren't going to miss.
Yeah,
and that was a big shot. That was upper decker, no doubter. I was out at this little Mexican restaurant outside in the super cool bar area. I mean, it was filled with Astros fans the whole game. Everybody was, pretty quiet and things like that. And man, that place erupted last night. Erupted.
I want your opinion about something about the Astros, though. So Justin Verlander, he needs to retire. Like, I don't care if he has win the World Series, not win the World.
He's gonna win the Cy Young, man.
He just then where is he? Like, does he need a phone call to let him know that it's the postseason? Like his only good year was when you guys won the World Series, and it was just like
I think
just disappears.
That's not his only good year, man. And
I'm talking about with you guys.
Well, no, I know what you're saying with the Astros. That's not his only good year. I mean, he's about to win the Cy Young. Now, could he have pitched a much better game yesterday? Definitely, but you got to cut him some slack because he's been dealing with some injuries. He's not I don't know if he's not fully healthy or what, but he's pitchers
So
have to get back into the rhythm. He was definitely out of his rhythm. And you know what? They
so
still won the
20
game with a bad start from their ace. We'll see.
so
I,
I'm going through his stats right now. From his career from Detroit to now, okay? He's only had a under 4 ERA, a 4. I'm not talking about a 3. A 3 under a 3 is pretty damn impressive. Under a 4 3 times. And he's been to the postseason 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about what, 8, 9 times? Almost 10? Yeah. 9 times. So 3 out of the 9 times he's been in the postseason has under a 4 ERA. Every other time he's over a 4. He has a 13.5. His career numbers in the postseason is a 3.62, but that's just because of volume. I mean, he disappears in the postseason. And yeah, he's going to Cy Young. Yeah, you can tell me all these things, but he's just not. He just vanishes. When it comes down to these games, a guy winning the side. Look at Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole went what 6 and 2 or 7 against the Guardians. That's a Cy Young. What a Cy Young is supposed to do. Not go 4 innings to give up almost 7 runs.
man, dude, baseball is baseball. One bad outing doesn't define somebody. I disagree with you.
He's
big
had
time
multiple.
right here.
He's had multiple bad
You're telling
outings.
me he has a 3.62 ERA in his postseason career? I think that's pretty fucking good. You're telling me if my guy Justin Verlander starts and all I have to do is score 4 runs most of the time to win the game in the postseason, I'll take that over almost any other starting pitcher. I'm sure there's
his last 3 postseasons. He has not had under a 4 ERA. Just saying. His best year was
good
when
thing for the
2017 when
Astros.
you
Their
guys
best
won.
pitcher right now is pitching tomorrow, which I may go to the game. We'll see. I just got offered some tickets, but I got a lot of stuff going on, so I don't know. And it's a 2:37 game my time, so I got to take off.
Yeah,
off of work.
those
so
games
we'll
are
see.
rough. I mean, ALDS games. I mean, any DS games are rough, especially because there's so many and they do it so early in the day. I have another question for you. Are we any shocked that the Mets blew it? I'm not. I'm not. Like I picked them. To lose. I knew they were going to do it. Like
I'm not shocked, but I do think that the Mets were the better team. They just have been so cold. I think they have the better roster, and I think people, if you are a Mets fan out there, guys, I think that I'd be super disappointed in that outing, in that performance in the postseason.
I don't.
But
know
everybody saw it coming, and I guess I was maybe one of those naive people who picked the better team on paper.
Jake.
But
yeah, I mean, you and Jake both picked the Mets to win, and I was like, honestly, like,
you can say the same thing about the Cardinals-Phillies series, but the Phillies seem to have little magic, man.
I mean, magic is always the key thing. I mean,
Seattle
baseball had the magic against the Blue Jays. I mean, they came back from 8 down,
8-1, yeah,
8-1, and then they won. I mean, the Cardinals. I was sad to see Pujols and go out the way he did, but the Phillies.
What a career!
Zach
Tip
Wheeler,
of the cap to that guy.
Yeah, great career. Even Yachty and freaking Adam Wainwright, great careers between all 3 of them.
To wrap up this episode, I want you. I know you already made your prediction before the postseason started, but I want you to make your current prediction. How do you see things going?
Ooh, you know what? I'm gonna ride. If I'm going through all the series, I'm gonna ride and die with what I pick. I'm going to pick. I'm going through it. Sorry, I was just picking up. I'm still picking the Padres beating LA. I think that once the series swings, I think they win tonight, and you're gonna see a swing going into Game 3. I think Seattle's still going to be Houston. I have Yankees still beating the Guardians because that's not even a matchup. I actually had Tampa beating the Guardians, but it's fine. I still think I still think the Braves are going to beat Philly. I think yesterday was a fluke. I don't think Matt Fried is that bad. I think Matt is actually really better than what he pitched yesterday. So
I mean, that's what I would say about Verlander too, though. But
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I just don't like Verlander. That's just me. I'm gonna still ride and die with my choice. The World Series, Seattle, San Diego, and Seattle winning.
I think I'm going to do the same. I got Houston beating the Mariners. I got Yankees winning their series, matching up against the Stros in the ALCS. The Stros going to the World Series, and then Atlanta and LA in the NLCS, and Atlanta going. But I mean, we'll see, man. We'll see. I think there's a lot of baseball still left to be played. There's a lot of outs to be had, and
yeah,
I was talking
there's game on now.
I was talking to one of my coworkers today. He's a big Astros fan. He came and watched the game yesterday all together. And he was like, the whole time he was like, keep believing. And I was saying kind of the same thing. I was like, man, there's still a lot of outs left. Things are looking grim. Other people that were with us, this game's over. One of them actually, it was in the 8th inning. The Astros were down by 4 runs. I said, look, man, he was talking about going home. He has a baby at home and everything. His wife was taken care of. But he's like, yeah, I think I'm going to go home. I'm like, look, the Astros get within 2 runs during this inning, you got to stay. And they got within 2 runs, and he still left. So we gave him a call afterwards and talked a little shit for him leaving. But
I mean,
baseball is just a beautiful sport in the postseason.
It is. Postseason's the best for baseball, honestly. I'm a diehard Cubs fan. And
I don't watch too much.
I remember 2016, and we went NLCS, and we were down 3-1 in LA against Dodgers, and usually 3-1 going to LA, you lose those games. And
did your butthole shrivel up when Chris Bryant fielded that ball and took a little tumble?
No, I wasn't even worried about that. I was just like, I
remember watching that play, and I was like, oh, is he gonna make an error right here? But
we broke the curse. We get relive that another time. So, oh my God, I want to go watch some baseball now. So let's get to it.
Alrighty, man. Well, that completes this week's episode. Like we mentioned, Jake wasn't able to join us, but he should be here for the Sunday live show. But as always, if you guys like what you heard, if you guys want to support our channel, go ahead, drop a like button or hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want to be notified. Like every time we either go live or do drop a new episode, go post in the comments if you want to agree, disagree, ask us any questions about anything that we've covered today. And also, please, please, please go join the Discord. We're trying to grow the community. I know we got one extra person here since our last episode. Much love to Bobcat. But anyways, Rob, that's it for me. Go watch some baseball. I'm going to go fix some dinner. And I'll see you on Sunday, man.
See you on Sunday.
All right, take care. Later.
See ya.
Thanks for tuning in to the Off the Clock Show. If you enjoyed what you heard, go ahead and hit that like button. If you really want to show your support, please consider subscribing. You can also follow us at our social media sites listed in the description. We will talk to you next time. Off the Clock.